Hey, Grey Couch family,
Ah,
this is Stanley,
and it's Tito.
and we have an interesting topic. Don't ask me how
Mhm.
I know, so she's going to start. But we have a rich Nigerian slash African culture,
Mhm.
and today we're bringing that to bear when we're talking about non-verbal cues
Or body language,
or
like
body
mine right
language.
now.
Uh, and so just mixing that up with
Mhm.
how we grew up and how
Mhm.
things are
Right
trending
now.
right now. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody can remember those days, or at least some of my friends can remember those days when we looked at the body language, the eye contact that a mom was giving her son, and we knew that somebody was going to get it later on in the evening. Fast forward several decades, I'm not going to
Mhm.
be very specific, and those same guys, we can't tell when our wives are giving us similar cues to try and interpret.
Or maybe you can tell, but sometimes you just ignore it, right? But who knows?
I'm not going to answer that question. That's a trick question. According to one of
Who
my
knows what's
that's,
happening
that's
there?
according that's according to one of my that might be a trick question.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, you've seen
When
cases.
the husband is making a statement and then the wife is like rolling her eyes, like, yeah, those kinds of things. You might see it and it looks normal, right? But it's kind of, there's something there. There's something that is not being said. And that may be something like, here you go, exaggerating again. I don't believe you, those kinds of things, right?
And some people might be just, folding their arms and looking away and
Mm-hmm.
looking back on my finger saying,
See,
I don't do any type of exaggeration like that. I
I
give vivid explanations.
Yeah, but you see what you're saying, nobody will do that because that's kind of like, what a child would do, right? When a
Mhm.
child is throwing a tantrum or pouting, that's the kind of thing you expect a 2-year-old to do. So you wouldn't see that in an adult. But what is the analogy? What is the kind of a behavior that adults will give you that's what you will pick from it, that the person is pouting or they are annoyed, right? I can tell you some of the ones that I've heard would be not choosing to eat, right? Maybe what the wife has made, to which whenever I hear that, I laugh a lot because I feel like, oh my God, you someone should use that for me. That's going to be on you because you starve, right? In that sense. I grew up in a house where like you cannot, yeah, just yeah. My father will eat anything he's given with thanks and appreciation. So when I hear people say this, I'm like, really? Is there such a thing? But you see, families of origin. But yeah, that could be one way, right? That the person is showing
Now,
disapproval or pouting.
that might be a way, but that
That's not your way.
won't work. That won't work. Yes.
Why won't it work? Tell me.
I don't want to.
Aside of the fact that I would just leave you to just
No,
like be
that
very
one,
hungry.
that
Why
one,
why won't you work?
that one, people will lose weight by force. That's not going to work.
Intermittent fasting by
This
force.
one is force. But what about things like somebody else is talking
Uh-huh.
and you're looking at their watch every 5 seconds, you're looking at your watch,
Yeah, still
and then
talking watch. What about phone, right?
okay, that's
Yeah, I
another
mean
one.
that's a big one. Um, yeah, and the thing about the body language is that it happens to the best and the
Yeah,
worst of us. I
that's
can
true.
tell you, like, I know I sometimes don't know how to hide my would I say, emotions, right? In that sense. So if I'm really annoyed, you can tell from my face, right? So something I've been working on, but you can just tell, right? Outside of the fact that I will tell you, but you can just tell, like, okay, something has shifted in the room and the atmosphere here in that sense. But then,
Since you bring up room,
mm-hmm,
what about in the bedroom where,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to sleeping together, someone's on the other side or you back the other person? Is that another sign of pouting?
I don't know
Oh,
because
okay.
some people like their space. So I cannot even use that one because I'm telling you, like, I know, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that one is so interesting because, some people like touch, cuddling, and some others are just like, please let me sleep. I need
Okay.
space. You know what I mean? I need space, I need air, I need everything. So I'm not sure that you can take that one literally, right?
But
The thing would be if the space now becomes real physical space where there's no intimacy, and then that's a problem, right?
I mean, but all different examples,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
different shoes, depending on which
Yeah,
one
yeah,
fits you.
yeah.
But bringing this into a
Uh-huh.
marriage relation or relationship,
Yep.
how can this help you? How does being aware of this help you in your relationship?
Well, for one thing, I always say that, there are certain signs of body language that really calls to maybe taking not advantage, taking a person for granted, right? Or just not according them the respect that they deserve. Because I always say this, I say this to you, I say this to every person I know, that why is it that, certain, I don't know whether I should say genders or whatever,
Let's
right?
leave the gender out of
No,
it.
but
Let's
why
start
is it
people.
that there's this almost like this unconscious dichotomy between work and home, right? This is what I always ask people. If you're at work and your boss is talking to you, you cannot be looking at your phone, right? Or your watch, or all of these things that you do when your wife is talking to you. If you were the boss and you were talking to your subordinates or, to the people that,
Or even a co-worker.
and they're looking at their phone and they're looking at this, you probably call their attention and say, hey, I need everybody's attention here, right? So my question now becomes, why is it that one thinks that it's now okay to do that to the person who is literally the closest to you, right? As far as circles of relationships go, right? So this is something that even us, it kind of happens to us. Now we're like, no phones at outings, right? In that sense. Okay. And it's not because, you're trying to prescribe things, but it's almost like if you know the thing that is your issue, you want to proactively handle it, right? In that sense, because if you brought the phone, the likelihood that somebody will pick up the phone and look at it unconsciously will come in, because we're all just so almost like semi-addicted to, the pings and the things and all of that. So if you don't bring it at all, then okay, at least I can give my person that attention. We went to a restaurant the other day and the people said, we don't have Wi-Fi here, talk to each other. Like literally the big sign was in the thing. In my mind, I'm thinking, maybe mobile before that would have been a problem. Exactly, but not these days of mobile data, right? So we both laughed at that. But, I got their point in that sense. And so the question then becomes, how do you become aware of those nonverbal and how do you address it, right? So that you can really give people the attention that they need. Because I think that as adults, there's something that we forget, and that is the human need to be heard, right? And even for women now, like I talked about the other gender earlier on, but I'm thinking for women, right? The kind of attention that you pay to your child, if you could pay that to the husband ×2, I think that things will, just rocket ahead, right? You know what I mean? So even though I'm saying for work with women at home, it's amazing the way how you can just finish like just vexing for the husband. When the child comes, you just switch like some, whatever, and say, oh, darling, yeah,
you have a good weather. Thank you very much. Okay. At least you've been balanced. I'm going to give you that. You've been balanced. So to try and answer your question, while it might seem like disrespect, and that might be the case some of the time.
Yeah.
But I have to play devil's advocate and say some of the time it's familiarity. This person has seen you finish, we will say, and so it's so easy to say, oh, this person will understand, or this person should understand, or they will appreciate. And it continues and continues and starts to speak louder than your words.
Okay, I mean, then if that's the case, then the other part would be, then you are called out for it. You shouldn't get defensive, right? You shouldn't say, I don't always check my phone, I don't always do this. Like, it's not true, right?
Depends on how you are called out for it. Because defensiveness is a primal response. Once you feel threatened, you're going to respond defensively.
I don't know. Can you see me? I put down
my this is that I'm facing you now.
I put down my things. I put down whatever I just was holding, plus phone, plus everything. I put it down.
That's a non-verbal cue right there.
Okay, I put it down, which shows that I'm ready for this. So, you and I are always saying this. I feel like, I guess, I bring in, this is it, right? They're like, with some people, hard startup, soft startup, medium startup, whatever kind of startup that you want to use, right? And speaking of which, why I put those things down, let me just digress a little bit, because this is how conversations happen. You start one thing, you digress. The reason I hold things in my hand is because I've been giving feedback like, Auntie, you gesticulate a lot. And because I'm like a person who, listens to feedback, I'm like, okay, if I hold something in my hand, right, you'll see me not gesticulating. So, which means I will be gesticulating now since there's nothing in my hand, but I will hold my hand here. So, with some people, small, soft, hard, whatever, it's almost like you said, a primary response. I must say something. I must defend myself. Like, okay, is not a response in their minds, And I haven't done any studies to this, right? So if you're listening and you have any,
Data.
insights on this, you can have. I have a feeling that this is common with people who are very competitive, right? It's like you cannot out argue me, or you cannot speak on this issue in that sense, right? So it's not like I'm saying some people are very competitive, but I mean, it's I've seen this happen, right, at work and elsewhere. And so again, this is an N of 3. So if you have any insights into this, you can always, message us. But I think that that's it, because the person is always like, how do I even out, right? Let's not win per se. It could be win, I don't know, but it's like, how do I even out this? I think that sometimes that's what may lead to that. But that's the more reason why, the calling out is also necessary, right? Because the person may not even realize, because it's become such a way of being for them, right? So in that sense,
in your studies, though, is this in the bell curve, are these outliers, or are these?
I don't know. That's why I say N of 3. Otherwise, you have one here, one here, one in the middle. But
but seriously, body language is a tried and true way of checking the temperature of your relationship. And the question that we have for you, that what are your own non-verbal cues saying about your relationship? I mean, just got
the state at that time, right? Because it's dynamic, so it's not like necessarily saying this is the way it is all the time, but there may be something that is cueing you into that something is different. And this goes all the way, like, this is how some women know that maybe their husbands are having an affair. So you could just say to yourself, to say, what is the thing that is cueing you in that something has changed in the dynamic of relationship? How can you put your finger on it?
So examples like from going to holding the hands and looking to the eye to when she comes
cringing
back.
when the person touches you, right? Yeah. So you can tell that obviously it's like there's more to this here than just what's going on right now.
And we feel it's a low hanging fruit, to just use to improve, because it's something you can do. I only have eyes for you, as it were.
Eyes and ears, though, because you can have the eyes, but the ears are somewhere else in that sense.
But with all this fun and what, at least if you have my eye, at least for me, if you have my eye, then okay.
At least. Have you ever heard of tuning people out? Or zoning them out? If you've attended a meeting of extraordinarily long proportions, you have done this. You have done this. So yeah, okay, but so with us now, we kind of, I guess maybe another thing that we took for granted was the fact that we travel a lot and we talk in the car. But those are unique times. It's like, how do you then take that back into the day-to-day? Because the screens are alluring. I cannot lie, they are alluring, right? Like, you're reading something, you're watching something, and each person to their own vice. You can never catch me watching anything on TV. It's reading some long essay, right?
On the phone.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of intentionality, as in that transition, that okay, I'm switching from house to work, or work back home, or the kids are here, I want to be available. And also, what's that thing that this person says, atomic habits, that to make it difficult to put those things away.
And do if then. If my children are here, I will put away the phone. If my husband comes home, I will do X, right? So just reminding yourself of the little things that you can do, right? And speaking of culture, one last thing to just round up is that some cultures are not touching cultures, right? So this is not necessarily saying go and be touching people. You know what I mean? Like touch is not the,
Only way.
it's not a, you know what I mean? It's not the predominant way of showing affection. The key thing is to say what has changed from the usual, right? In whatever ways that you feel like the person is no longer paying you any attention, right? In that sense.
So that's what we have for you for this week. Try and tease it out in your separate relationships.
Yep. And next week,
next week we have
the Indian festival of Diwali. So we have some of our Indian friends. Let me tell you, it's so interesting just hearing from a different culture. Yeah, you can see that on this couch, we do a lot of culture because we appreciate that that's a huge part of who people are, and you bring that part of you into relationships. So next week we'll be hearing from our Indian friends. Okay.
So from our couch to yours, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.